July 16th, 2020 to order. A first here. I thought it would be a first. Craig Bowen will not be in attendance this evening, but I understand he missed one in all his years. All righty. So, but a first for myself to be leading the meeting. So we'll call to order at 7:13, call it. Everyone would stand for a pledge of allegiance. And a moment of silence afterwards. Keep in mind our first responders and our service people, and April Samuels, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If you could roll call, please.
Vice President Murphy,
Oh, present.
Mr. Antonello. Here. Mr. Blaylock.
Here.
Mr. Glassen,
Here.
Mrs. Wagner.
Present.
And before tonight's meeting, we met in executive session. Adam?
Thank you, Madam Vice President. We met in executive session where we discussed personnel, litigation, and real estate matters.
Thank you. Monthly reports are available for review in the Township Manager's office. Public comment will be taken on land development and official action items. General comments will be taken during opportunity for residents to address council. So we're starting off with presentations and appointments. We have our monthly awards for exemplary recycling performance.
Thank you, Vice President Murphy. So I just wanted to give one update. As of now, the household hazardous waste is waste collection. This is not working. The upcoming household hazardous waste collection is on as of right now. We will have a link to it, the county recycling data, on our website. So you just want to continue to check that out. It's August 8th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Bucks County Technical High School. Like I said, we'll have a link, but with the COVID-19 procedures, you have to pre-register. The link is on the website. And you have to stay in your car, one person per vehicle. Everything must be in the back, and masks must be worn. So obviously everything is changing with the COVID-19 procedure. They've had to cancel a couple other ones. So like I said, we'll keep it up to date on our website and let everybody know. And the last thing is, every month, actually, we have our infamous Joan Lamina here tonight, who is our recycling coordinator, who is absolutely amazing. So every month, Ms. Lamina is the one that goes out and actually checks to see who are exemplary recyclers. And this month, she's pulled into the mix the Wolstein family of Croydon and the Westfall family of Fergusonville. And we have $50 gift cards and certificates to thank them very much for their exemplary recycling. So if they can all come up for the award. Okay. And just you come down for the
I think
picture.
maybe Joan should take a picture with him
Oh,
since she's
Miss
the
Lamina.
she's the
Yes,
she's the finder of those good recyclers.
I like that idea, Miss Lamina.
Yeah, Joan, come on.
Your mask, Cindy.
Thank you. Thank you.
So only the Westfall family was able to make it tonight, so she's coming.
Yeah, you gotta fill in, you gotta do the deal, right, Sid?
Oh, next up, we have the presentation from BBD LLP of the 2019 audit of financial statements. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
Make sure the green
We're-
light's on, Carl. And unfortunately, we don't have the clicker. I have to do it.
Not a problem at all. All right. So we're going to go to, I'm going to give a quick synopsis. Everybody has a copy of their audit report with them in their board packets today. Even with the COVID, we're here at a relatively timely,
And you're Carl?
yes, that is me.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. You know, even with the COVID, we're here in a relatively timely fashion in terms of the audit, so I want to give credit to, you know, the business office staff in terms of, you know, being able to turn this around. So we're going to give a quick synopsis. This is a historical perspective for the year ended December 31st, 2019. And that being said, I'm just going to walk through some main points in the audit report, which I put together a couple slides. The first slide that I have within up there on our presentation is a synopsis of pages 1 and 2. Pages 1 and 2 are your independent auditor's report. Okay. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Pages 1 and 2 is a synopsis, or this is synopsis of pages 1 and 2, which is your independent auditor's report. Basically, what the independent auditor's report is doing, it's outlining what our responsibilities are, what your responsibilities are, what responsibility we're taking for all the different sections of the audit report. But the most important thing in the audit report is the smallest paragraph, which is the opinion paragraph. And basically what the opinion paragraph is saying is that the numbers presented to us by management for the year ended December 31st, 2019 were fairly presented. The numbers that I'm going to present here tonight should be consistent, or they are consistent with the numbers that were being presented to you by management throughout the year, so there should be no surprises. The next slide. The next slide is a synopsis or a smaller version of what's on page 51, so if you want to look at page 51. So the reason why I'm going all the way back to the back of the audit report, page 51, I think this is one of the most important schedules within the audit report. It's just in the back of the audit report because of the fact that we're not providing an opinion on the budgeted information. We're only providing an opinion on the actual amounts. So hence, since we're not providing an opinion, it's pushed to the back of the audit report. But when I'm talking to boards, councils, et cetera, I want to, you know, this may be the most important schedule because it's kind of like a report card. Hey, here's what we put out for our budget. Here's how we came in. And then you can see how you made out for the year based upon what your expectations were. So as you can see, at the beginning of the year, you had budgeted revenues of $21.1 million. You came in at $22.6 million for a positive variance of $1.5 million. I'm going to kind of go over the explanations on the next slide here in a second. The expenditures, $21.5 million, came in at $20.6 million for a positive variance of $921,000. At the beginning of the budget process, you had a balanced budget. Your actual numbers came in at $2.4 million to the good, which is a combination of the revenues in excess of budget and the expenditures less than budget, the combination of the two. So if we go to the next slide, I have a little explanation of what the biggest variances were and why. So as you can see, your revenues were $1.5 million more than budgeted amounts. And if you could see, the biggest line items that have the biggest variances are those that pertain to the transfer taxes and the earned income taxes. This is really good in terms of you had a really good year. The economy was really doing well in 2019. But there's never a better time for me to give my little spiel about, hey, when you're budgeting these numbers, you need to be conservative because you could all of a sudden have a year like you might have here in 2020. So as you do it, it's a great that you had a real good windfall in 2019, but as going forward, you know, this puts you in a good position going into 2020, as you can see, as your fund balance increased by $2.5 million to be able to weather any kind of financial impacts that you're going to have because of the COVID. But at the same time, you know, you want to be conservative with those line items that you can't guarantee or that can fluctuate on an annual basis. So as you can see, Transfer taxes were $631,000 more than budget. Earned income taxes, 505. And then even if you look at your investment income, that was $100,000 more than budget. And once again, with the interest rates being lower, you have to be conservative when you're doing your annual budget process. Total expenditures down below, they were about 4% less than budget. And as you can see, most of that had to do with premiums that were less than anticipated for some of your insurance. Also, there was some attrition within salaries and benefits. You had people that left that weren't necessarily replaced right away or weren't able to be replaced by the end of the year. So at the beginning of the year, you had $3.6 million of fund balance. You added the 2.5, $6.1 million in fund balance to be able to, that puts you in a good position to, with any kind of revenue shortfalls you might have coming here in 2020. So good news there. Not that you anticipated this when you're putting your budget together, but it's nice to be in that position. The next schedule I have is the refuse fund. I'm not going to spend much time as I did with the general fund. Refuse fund, total revenues $5.5 million, came in 5.6, positive $100,000. Total expenditures $5 million, came in at 4.8. Another positive variance at $193,000. So at the end of the day, your refuse fund, when you take those percentages, those positive variances related to total budget, you did really good with respect to the budget. $3 million at the beginning of the year, fund balance ended with $3.3 million. And like I said, once you take those numbers and compare the 115 to 200,000 to the 5 million, you're within good percentage of related to what you budgeted there, just like the general fund. Any questions so far? No. All right. The next fund I'm going to talk about is the Capital Reserve Fund. So this is I'm not going to make you jump all over the audit report at this point in time, but the Capital Reserve Fund, not much activity in the current year. You had some interest income. You had some intergovernmental revenues that came in. At the beginning of the year, you had $21.7 million sitting in the Capital Reserve Fund. There was a bond issue that was issued in the previous year that went ahead and was mostly expended during 2019. Most of those expenditures were related to the municipal complex municipal complex project, which made up about $7 million of the approximately $10 million of expenses. Then you also had some other projects, curbing, traffic lights, etc. So at the end of the day, you mostly expended those that long-term debt that you took out in the previous year, and at the end of the year, you still had $11.9 million in your capital reserve fund for ongoing projects that are going at the township. Next slide. I'm just going to talk briefly. You also have a sewer fund. You do provide sewer services to parts of the township. For the current year, there was a slight increase in this change in net position of $8,000. That is net of non-cash depreciation expense on your wastewater treatment plant facilities and equipment. So there was actually more of a cash flow there. So when you add back that $500,000, there was more cash flow there. You're looking at $8,000 break even, but there are some non-cash items there. So at the beginning of the year, you had $10.9 million in net position, and you stayed relatively the same at $10.9 million, taking into account that $500,000 for depreciation provision.
Okay.
I am going to have you actually look at a page in the audit report that is in front of you, and that is on page number 53. It is a schedule that kind of lays out side by side. I think this is a really important schedule here. This is a schedule of your changes in your net pension liability. There's two schedules. There's a schedule for the police and a schedule for the non-uniform pension. So as you can see, it was a new GASB that was put in place about 5 years ago. So this schedule is going to give you a 10-year perspective. Right now we're looking at 6 years. Actually, 6 years ago it was put in. So at the end of 2018, as you can see in that second column, you had a net pension liability of almost $11 million. And because of the really good year with the net investment income up to almost $10.6 million, your liability went from almost $11 million down to $3.6 million. and you're about 94% funded now within your police pension. So I think we went through this last year. You had 2017, there was a little bit of a downturn in the market as of the end of 2018, and then it kind of kicked up again in 2019. The one thing that you have to keep in mind is the fact that this is as of a date and time. This is as of a specific time. So I would assume if we looked at it today, things would be looking pretty good too, but things change quickly. So hopefully, this keeps on the same trajectory. Page number 54 is your non-uniform pension liability. And with respect to that, there's a slight liability at the end of the year of $314,000 for a positive variance or a funded percentage of almost 95% in comparison to the total actuarial liability. And the other schedule that we're going to talk about related to your actuarial valuations on the next page is related to your other post-employment benefits related to the police. And at the end of the year, there is a liability of almost $65 million related to other post-employment benefits that it's an estimate of what is going to be provided to not only those cops that are here currently, but those that are currently retired and receiving benefits at this time. And the last page, the things that I want to report, I want to report on what kind of audit report what kind of audit opinion you had. You had the unmodified or the clean audit report. We went over the major fund balances within the audit report, but I also like to report on the fact that we had no findings or question costs or any kind of issues related to compliance. Normally, you have a single audit because you expend in excess of $750,000 in federal awards. This year is below the threshold, and we didn't have a single audit in the current year. So I think those three things are good. The clean audit report. You're in a good financial position as of December 31st, 2019, and no issues to report as a result of our audit. Questions, concerns?
So I just wanted to point out, so our net position, though, we have a deficit net position, but that's mainly driven by the unfunded liabilities, correct?
That's correct. So when you're doing your budget process, you're gonna focus on the things that when you're going through your budget process, you're focusing mostly on the current assets over the current liabilities, which makes up $6 million. But when you look at the township as a long-term focus, and if you were running like a business, you would see a huge deficit. Your liabilities would be in excess of your assets, and a long-term focus, not on a year-by-year focus. And hence, that's why the township has a deficit within its net position at year end, which is being driven by those actuarial liabilities that we just talked about, the $65 million, the 3.6, and those other liabilities that you have.
Just to clarify that, that's funded liability, the number right now is $65 million?
That is correct, as of December 31st,
So that's a
2019.
dramatic reduction from that position
Last year it was 68 million, so there was a reduction from 68 to 65, so.
I think in prior years it was like 80, right, or
Yeah.
82 or something, yeah.
we looked at that, but I know we're in the 80s.
Yeah, so that's, that was a new GASB last year, so that was only a 2-year look back. So as the years go by and we get the 10-year look back, we'll have the 10-year look back within the audit report.
Okay.
Kind of like we did for the pension, so.
But a strong
Yeah.
comparison on current assets to current liabilities. I mean,
That's correct. We had to
That's
say
huge.
yes, that's correct.
Okay, good. Thanks, Cindy. Thank you.
Yep. And you're not.
I'm
different
good.
than-
Anybody else have any questions?
Right, I know every single municipality in the state of Pennsylvania is laboring under an unfunded liability
That's correct.
driven by police and those issues.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, we are in a better position just because most people have a large unfunded liability for post-retirement medical as well as pension. But our pension plans are very well funded.
Yes.
So we are in a
Comparatively
very-
speaking, I would
comparatively
agree.
speaking to the rest of the
And
southeastern
I think you need
Pennsylvania.
to also point out, you are funding your pension liability, but you're not funding, you're doing a pay-as-you-go basis with the other post-employment benefits. So the approximate $1.5 million are just funded on an annual basis. Some municipalities do fund that, but, that's not a requirement,
Okay.
but the pension is a requirement.
Not
to fund it.
unusual.
Yes, that's
Right.
All right.
correct.
Okay.
Good.
We can really get in the weeds and we could spend another days on it. I know.
Yes,
Thank
Fun
you.
stuff, yeah.
I'm trying to be
Yeah.
quick.
Thanks very much, Carl.
Yep, thank
It
you.
was nice to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Good stuff.
Next, we have a presentation on substantial amendment to our fiscal year 2019 action plan and fiscal year 2020 through 2024 Community Development Consolidated Plan. Ms. Elton, would you care to elaborate?
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Vice President. So every year, the township does a couple of public hearings a year. We are a entitlement community, and we receive direct funds from the Housing and Urban Development in the U.S. Housing and Urban Development. So this is just, we put this in every presentation just because new people are watching or hearing, and we just want to make sure everybody understands what this is because it's very particular with its regulations. As I said, we get this grant administered by the HUD. It's provided on an annual grant basis based on population. Funds this year we got additional funds because of the COVID-19 pandemic through the CARES Act. We submitted an amended action plan and had a public hearing in May for that money. That is a separate monies from what we're talking about today. And any of the funds have to meet eligible activities and one of the 3 national objectives. So the national objectives that we typically meet are benefit to low and moderate income persons or households. So there's area benefit where you take a census tract and it has to be greater than 51%, has to be, people in the area have to have 51% or greater for low mod income households. And there's a threshold amount for HUD that'll put you at the low, moderate, or it tells you the level. There's also low, moderate clientele, and this is benefit to income qualified households. So this could be, it's an assumed benefit. So this could be for the homeless or seniors. There's also low income, so that's 50% or less of the median income, and then there's moderate income, which is 80% of the median income. Another national objective is elimination of slum and blight, and the other one is urgent need. So in our citizens participation plan, we have required 2 public hearings. Typically, it's one is on either you have the consolidated plan, which is every 5 years, or you have an annual action plan. And then there's what's called the CAPER, the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation, which we'll have in September. And it's usually a look back on the previous years of all your accomplishments. As we're doing tonight, any substantial amendment to an action plan requires a public hearing. As I said, we got additional money for the CARES Act. We had our public hearing in May. That has been submitted to HUD for review. And tonight is for our substantial amendment to the 2019 action plan and our 2024 consolidated plan with the 2020 action plan requirements. So in 2019, we received $602,959 from HUD, and you can see the breakdown of what we had spent. We had in public facility and infrastructure improvements. We had a park being created in West Bristol, JFK Park. So there's a park there now. We were going to create a master plan for a large park, and we have all the engineering done, and we had put this in our plan to move on with construction, and then COVID hit, and our priorities had changed with everything that was going on. It's still a priority. It's a shovel-ready project. We'll either look for additional grant funding, or we could put this in, an upcoming plan for HUD, because as long as it meets the eligible area, because those numbers change every year based off of population and income. So, but we found it was even more important right now for the senior center, since they have to shut down, and when they're allowed to come back on modified, the center right now doesn't have the ability to do the things if they wanted to do any Zoom, or if they wanted to do, they have to upgrade completely. So that's where we're focusing our money. So we are creating a new activity for the senior center, so we obviously have to do the substantial amendment. So that's the difference. Now we move on to the 2020-2024 consolidated plan, and we have to meet our, we've put in there what our priority needs are. We've met with community participation and stakeholders, and we've come to primarily the same outcomes that we have every year. We need to expand public facilities and infrastructure. We need to preserve existing homeownership housing. We need to provide public services for special needs, which would be seniors and homeless and others, and public needs for the community. And this year we're putting in economic development to try to assist small businesses if we can within the regulations that are impacted by COVID. So our eligible activities for this allocation are planning and administration, housing, rehabilitation, public facilities, infrastructure, and public services. And the numbers correlated, we anticipate receiving $636,294 for the entitlement 2020 award. We're putting in our prior year's resources that were allocated for JFK, and we have a total allocation that should not say 2018, that's 2020, activities for a little bit over $1 million. So our action plan for 2020, there's always a 20% administration cap on your current year's plan, and then there's also a 15% cap on the public services. And we're putting in for $100,000 on housing, for homeowner housing, for rehabilitation. Right now, it's mainly emergency repairs, roofing, heaters, sewer lines, et cetera. And our public facilities and infrastructure will include the senior center and the homeless shelter. We're also have that in for public services, as well as our additional public services. A couple of people have been here before. No Longer Bound we've been meeting with, as well as Freedom Neighborhood 1. So we would be putting them in for public services for their community areas. So that is the end of the public hearing. That's where we're going to be spending our money. Actually, this isn't the public hearing. This is just a draft to get input and anybody have any opinions. There's a 30-day public comment period, which began on Tuesday. It ends on August 12th, and then we have our public hearing on August 13th.
Okay, all right. So because we made a significant change, in order to keep getting funding, we have to do an amendment. Okay.
And that's on our website, right?
All updated on our website.
Thank you, Ms. Elton. Next, on to some fun stuff. Lots of recognition of really great people doing a lot of great things in the community. Except when we think they go above and beyond, right, during this time, but this is what they do day in and day out. So, but it's nice to be able to recognize them. So ordinances and resolution. We have an ordinance, this isn't the fun, well, this is fun stuff, but an ordinance amending Chapter 167, smoking, adding Article 3, Bristol Township Parks, and prohibiting vaping on certain property, consideration to take appropriate action. You just want to highlight what that is, Ms. Elton, or summarize?
So, yes, we actually have somebody here that, we have Demita, and you can come up front if you want. So we were requested to amend our ordinance, because our ordinance currently didn't have no smoking in our parks, and then our it just had no smoking on township and school property, but not our public parks, as well as added to what the current situation is, and so we included vaping. So you can by means, introduce yourself and explain, how you assist and all the things that you'll be providing the township.
Okay, sure. Sure. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, it bends nice. You can
alright,
just
got
bend
it.
that down.
Is that?
That's
oh,
on, good.
Can you hear me okay with the mask? Okay, great. So good evening, my name is Melanie Swanson. I'm a prevention specialist at the Council of Southeast Pennsylvania, and I also work with Demita from Bristol Cares and No Longer Bound. And one of the programs that our agency works on is the Young Lungs at Play program, which is tobacco-free zones, parks, organizations to protect the health and lungs of young children and youth. And I'm happy to announce that the Bristol Township School District adopted Young Lungs at Play, which is wonderful. And they have tobacco-free policies, but they adopted that. Also, Middletown Township and Falls Township, our neighbors, have adopted Young Lungs at Play. And so I want to commend Bristol Township for considering establishing tobacco-free and vape-free parks. And I also want to mention that, of course, now more than ever with COVID-19 being a respiratory disease, this is so important because we know that COVID attacks the lungs, and we also know vaping is actually aerosolized. So it's not water vapor, it's actually an aerosol. So it's quite dangerous in this current climate. And we know that children who are exposed to secondhand smoke are inhaling many of the same cancer-causing substances as those who actually smoke tobacco. And we also know there's actually research that supports the dangers of secondhand aerosol from inhaling the aerosol that's exhaled from vaping. So the benefits of having tobacco-free parks and vape-free parks include protecting children and their fragile lungs. Also, it protects the environment. Unfortunately, tobacco and cigarettes are not biodegradable, and they can get into waters and streams. There's also the concern about the butts being toxic in young children and pets, picking them up. Nicotine's actually poisonous when it's ingested or when it's absorbed in the skin. And it also helps to model healthy behavior. So, of course, if children see that no one is smoking or vaping in a public park, which is really promoting health and welfare of children, then it sends a really positive message. And it also helps to prevent children's normalization of vaping, because unfortunately some children still believe, and youth believe, that there's no harm to vaping, and we know, unfortunately, because of all the research now that's out there, that that's not the case. I do want to mention that in the 45 years of the Monitoring the Future, it's a national study that's done every year to study attitudes and behaviors of youth. So in the 45 years that they've been doing that study, no other substance has ever had a 1-year increase or spike like vaping and vaping nicotine. So we know it's a concern. And in Bucks County, about 1/4 of 10th graders and 1/3 of 12th graders have reported vaping within the past month, according to the Pennsylvania Youth Survey from 2019. And our number of 6th graders reporting vaping has increased as well from 2017 to 2019. And I do want to mention, in case people are unaware, that the nicotine levels in one Juul pod, Juul being a popular device used by youth, is actually the equivalent of at least 1 pack of cigarettes. So we know it's very addictive, and we really want to try to prevent youth from initiating. So that's what this program's all about. Again, children imitate adult behavior, and if we can model healthy behavior and protect the young lungs of children playing and in play areas, then we're really doing some great work. And the U.S. Surgeon General basically said one of the ways that we can help to address this issue, which has actually been considered an epidemic now among youth, is to institute tobacco-free and vape-free policies, and that includes parks. So what the Young Lungs at Play program will do, there's actually free signs that are available. It's from the Department of Health. They're steel signs. They're actually very nice. It says Young Lungs at Play. There's a phone number on there for those individuals who may be interested in quitting. It gives them a resource on that. And it's basically just a gentle message. And you can also have the sign say vaping, no vaping as well. And so we can supply them to you as many as you want, and they're available in English and Spanish. So lastly, I just want to say that supporting tobacco-free parks will make a difference in the health and wellness of our youth and communities, and so I'd like to thank you for considering that. And Demita, did you want to say a few words?
I just wanted to say that I brought this idea to Jessica Fox at one of the fall festivals. I mentioned to her, she told me to send her some information, she was familiar with it, and she really worked to get the ordinance changed. And then with Miss Randy, between the both of them, I can't thank you guys enough for your support in our community, for what you do, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, thanks for leading the charge. So I think
Well-
motion in order?
Yeah, I would, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
And I'll second it.
A motion by Mary Ann Wagner, second by Pat Antonello. What am I supposed to say? Are there any questions? Any questions on the motion? Would you call the board?
Vice President Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Antonello,
Yes.
Mr. Blaylock,
Yes.
Mr. Glassen,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner.
Yes.
And I'd just like to add thanks to those two women for all their advocacy efforts and for bringing something that's really a positive and a great benefit to the township, and not just the children, but the entire families, for all the citizens of Bristol Township. And we're happy to be able to enact an ordinance like this. Thank you all so much.
Next, we have a resolution of commendation honoring Bristol Township School District administrators, cafeteria workers, lunch monitors, and teachers for volunteering every day to distribute meals to school students during the COVID-19 shutdown. Consideration to adopt.
I would like to make that motion.
Ms. Wagner made some motion.
I think we all should second it. Okay? I think we all should second it.
Oh, seconded by everyone? All in favor?
Aye.
So, right, and do you have their names, or?
I have their names,
So, I'm going to bring them in, and then we'll read the resolution.
and then I'll read their names, or read their names first and then read the resolution.
One group is two different things, so the other group is for the other part, the other situation. We're on 6A.
Can I read the names first?
Oh,
or
okay,
read
yeah.
the resolution first?
Are we bringing people, what do you? I'll wait till they get here, or?
No,
Yeah, oh, then nobody's coming in, okay, all righty.
COVID, they decided to.
I see. So let me share the resolution with you. It's a resolution of commendation of the Township Council of Bristol, Bucks County, honoring Bristol Township School District administrators, cafeteria workers, lunch monitors, teachers, custodial staff, and bus drivers for their volunteer services distributing daily meals to students during the COVID-19 school shutdown. Whereas the Bristol Township School District Food Service served an average of 1,000 meals per day to students during the mandated school closures, and whereas administrators, cafeteria workers, lunch monitors, teachers, custodial staff, and bus drivers assisted with cleaning and distribution of breakfast and lunch from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Monday through Friday. And whereas administrators, cafeteria workers, lunch monitors, teachers, custodial staff, and bus drivers assisted with cleaning and distribution at Truman High School, Franklin D. Roosevelt Middle School, Brookwood, and Keystone Elementary Schools. And whereas the Thursday before spring break, over 5,500 meals were served to make sure students had food for the break. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Council of Bristol Township hereby recognizes, appreciates, and sincerely thanks the administrators, cafeteria workers, lunch monitors, teachers, custodial staff, and bus drivers for their selfless service, dedication, and pride for the Bristol Township community and students. Resolved this 16th day of July, 2020. Congratulations. Fantastic work.
I'd like to read the names, which are a lot.
There are a lot, yeah.
Okay, so I'll read fast. We have I'll start, well, Dr. Melanie Garens is the superintendent, and she is here. And then, I don't think Jim is here. The school board president, he was also there. And we have Richie Webb, who is here. He's the food services coordinator. And we have Tracy Williams, who is the transportation coordinator. And we have all of our administrators. While you guys do your thing, Bob Maloney, Jennifer Zaire, Josh Swaggart, Kathleen Newsham, Lou DeFontenay, Gretchen Kermiso, Chris Shuttle, Ken Melton, Steve Pierce, John Barage, John Craig, Joe Crane. That's okay. George Kromarenko, Ryan Osenrich, Aaron Quartermain. We have Sharon Vitelli, Jacqueline Coverly, Ed Dayton, Mark Walicki, Kevin Bowles, Lindell Davis, Dave Jane. Shakira Baker Alford is Mr. Webb's secretary, who I'm sure was coordinating most of it. And Alice Buchan. Now, those not only were coordinators, but they also volunteered at the different schools to give out the lunches. Go as quickly as possible. Wayne Apiece, Maria Asan, Donna Baker, Tom Benson, Christine Bezak, Jennifer Cardisco, Jan Darcy, Katie Donahoe, Sue Dons, Teresa Erb, Jane Evans, Joyce Finley, Arlene Foreman, Lauren Gallagher, Allie Jagorsky, I'm going to butcher that. Jagorsky, I was close. Sharon Giordine, Margaret Halls, Jacqueline Halls, Thomas Olkowski, Denise Cass, Kelly Keenan, Colleen Kokesberger, Erin Crozen, Christine Landman, Jamie LaPena, Joanna Lawson, Jessica Leatherman, Carolyn Lighton, Carolyn Loftus, Sandy Lynch, Judy Marrow, Judy Martin, Jennifer Mahalik, Michelle Miller, Kristen Morris, Sharon Nall, Tammy Norris, Liz Polamella, Cara Pasquale, Vicki Rankin, Marilyn Radcliffe, Susan Reinecker, Ashley Ridge, Irene Romano, Uda Rosenfeld, Jill Salmon, Christine Schrack, Jamie Schrader, Deb Smith, Elizabeth Smith, Christina Temple, Stephanie Trezzotti, Cheryl Travagline, Victoria Trega, Patricia Tressa, Linda Wallace, Michelle Walters, Kyle Wetstein, Joe Wood, Dan Yingling, Sharon, oh no, I have many more, Sharon Crawley, Kay Hansen, Dorothy Taylor, Margaret Urena, Stephanie Casey, they had to sign a sign-in sheet, and it was just S. Curran. So if it's a male or a female, forgive me. Darlene Keller, Nancy Kravitsky, Carolyn Lee Heighton, Michelle Litz, Judy Loeffler, Jenna Neen, Amy Ramos, Michelle Rutlinger, Jody Sleppy, Jennifer Sleppy, Connie Stores, Ada Torres, Justin Warner, Diane Long, Jackie Darr, Janelle Kitchens, Joanne Schmidt, Lauren Ball, Laura Brady, Robin Monero, Bernadette Barone, Sharon Crawley, Joe Ferguson, Heather Foster, April Fox, Karen Mayberry, Huron McLeod, Dan, Wendy Zakowski, Helena King, Michelle Eisenhower, Patrick Gushu, Serena Auber, Mark DiDonato, Yvonne DiDonato, Eric Font, Ann Coleb, Dennis Hart, Jessica Kelch, Danielle Pressamore, Teresa Reichert, thank you. Anthony Reed, Carol Applegate, Claire Bannon, Donna Boggs, Giuseppe Giordano, Linda Zlully, Renee Mayer, Sharon Brown, Susan Beckert, Norman Buckert, B-U-R-K-E-T-T, Libby Dick, Pete Ferris, Yvonne Holmes, Deshawn Perry, Liz Beckert, Lukeisha Alvin, Kim Bennett, Donna Dean, Pete Ferris. Must have said his twice. So I personally would like to thank everybody because you guys just did a wonderful, wonderful thing for the community, the kids, the families, and not knowing what you guys were facing, you were there every day. There were times I'd have to have President Morgan sign things, and there they were. counting everybody, giving out the lunches. It was a wonderful thing that you guys have done. And again, it's Dr. Melanie Garron, Superintendent. We have here Tracy Williams, the Transportation Coordinator, Richie Webb, he is the Food Services Distributor, and Jim Morgan, the President of our school district. He was there every day, and he'll say, except for 2 days, but he was there every day. He was very, very conscientious, and, you know, he wanted to make sure that our students and our families were taken care of through this time.
Fantastic.
So, thank you very much.
You guys are wonderful. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution of commendation honoring Bristol Township Senior Center Executive Director Bonnie Worth for her outstanding work with delivering Meals on Wheels and implementing USDA Farm to Families food box pickups during the COVID-19 shutdown. Consideration to adopt? Am I?
I'll make that
Do I not have
motion.
it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Joe.
I have the one that was right here. It was right
That's
here.
the one I got.
Yeah.
That's one
I
I
get
have,
what
too.
Cindy read.
Yeah, no, she asked me to take it out and acknowledge everybody.
Oh, that's the one I printed at home from the other day.
Yeah, it changed.
Okay. Let me read that resolution again, and then we'll, because it's a resolution of commendation honoring Bristol Township Senior Center Board, staff, and volunteers for their outstanding work during delivering Meals on Wheels and implementing USDA Farm to Families food box pickups during COVID-19 shutdown. I believe we had a motion from Mr. Glassen,
I will make that motion.
Second.
second by Mr. Antonello. I assume all in favor? Say aye.
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 Aye, aye, aye.
Do we have? Oh, hello. Welcome. So allow me to read this resolution for you. It's a resolution of commendation of the Township Council of Bristol, Bucks County, honoring Bristol Township Senior Center Board, staff, and volunteers for their tireless efforts of feeding and supporting our seniors and residents during the COVID-19 shutdown. Whereas the Bristol Township Senior Center was mandated to close due to the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020, and whereas the Bristol Township Senior Center has continued the Meals on Wheels delivery service and congregate meal pickups for our Bristol Township seniors during this mandated shutdown, and whereas an average of 6,000+ meals have been delivered or picked up every Monday since the COVID-19 mandated shutdown for the senior center. 600+, isn't that what I said? Ah, 6,000 sounds really, wow. Stick with the 6,000. No.
Hundreds of big numbers.
She's still alive. Whereas the Bristol Township Senior Center also began coordinating weekly pickups of free USDA farmer to families boxes of fresh 10-pound shelf-stable produce boxes and 2 half-gallon jugs of milk for all households. And whereas an average of 420 farm-to-families produce and dairy boxes are delivered, organized, and distributed weekly. And whereas the board, staff, and volunteers of the Bristol Township Senior Center are to be commended for all their hard work during the shutdown and every day. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Council of Bristol Township hereby recognizes, appreciates, and sincerely thanks the Bristol Township Senior Center board, staff, and volunteers for their selfless service, dedication, and pride for the Bristol Township community and seniors. Didn't help me.
Got away.
I did. Almost. Almost.
Can I just say something?
And I've got 3 different devices to take pictures.
you to Randy. Thank you to every department head, Jessica and Kevin and Andrew and everybody. Without the help that we have received, we would not be able to do anything that we've done. So I want to thank all of you. Together, we make a great team.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your tireless efforts. Next, we have a resolution of commendation honoring Bristol Township Parks and Recreation Department for their creativity and implementation of Rec from Home during the COVID-19 shutdown. Consideration to adopt?
I'd like to make that motion.
Motion by Marianne Wagner,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Blaylock. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd say any opposed? That's not even asking that question. So do we have, oh, of course we do. Jair, right? Jair? Well, hello. Nice to see you. You guys doing crowd control out there? And well, let me read the resolution for you. It's a resolution of commendation of the Township Council of Bristol, Bucks County, honoring our Bristol Township Parks and Recreation Department for their creativity and implementation of Rec from Home during the COVID-19 shutdown. Whereas Jessica Fox is the Parks and Recreation Director and Jair Brown is the Program Coordinator for the Bristol Township Parks and Recreation Department. Whereas our Parks and Recreation Department implemented a 13-week Rec from Home, Crafts on the Go program for our Bristol Township youth during the mandated school shutdown. And whereas an average of 250 craft kits, each different and fun, were created, packaged, and delivered every Friday since the COVID-19 mandated shutdown of the schools. And whereas instructional craft videos were created and uploaded with step-by-step directions each week for our Rec from Home, Crafts on the Go program participants. And whereas virtual field trips were implemented every Friday during the COVID-19 mandated shutdown of the schools. And whereas The Little Things new web series has been created and posted every Thursday to help teach our youth little things they can start to learn to help them become little adults. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Council of Bristol Township hereby recognizes, appreciates, and sincerely thanks Jessica Fox and Jair Brown for their innovative ideas, never quit pride, selfless service, and dedication for the Bristol Township community and youth. You guys did a great job. You really, really did. That was so wonderful. I love the videos that you did, how to play Uno. It's only been, what, 5 months since I've been in Yale? 4 months?
You're doing a great job. Thank you.
I would be remiss if I didn't thank Ms. Elton for letting us run with our crazy ideas. And also Public Works Department and Andrew McAdams. We got to the point where we weren't able to do it ourselves, deliveries to each house, and Public Works stepped in, and Andrew coordinated all of that for us. So I just wanted to make sure that we're thanking Public Works for all of the hard work that they did on there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you both.
Thank
We're lucky to have you.
All that was free, right?
Yeah, yeah. No. And Mr. DiPolito. Next, a resolution of commendation honoring Bristol Township Emergency Management Coordinator Kevin DiPolito for his outstanding coordination and updates during the COVID-19 shutdown. Most recently yesterday, as a matter of fact. Welcome. It's nice to see you again. Let me read the resolution, make sure I have. Yes. It's a resolution of commendation of the Township Council of Bristol, Bucks County, honoring our Bristol Township Emergency Management Director for his assistance and updates during the COVID-19 shutdown. Whereas Kevin DiPolito is the Fire Marshal and Emergency Management Director for Bristol Township, and whereas Kevin DiPolito coordinated with all Bucks County Emergency Management Coordinators, Bucks County Emergency Services, and the Bucks County Health Department during the COVID-19 shutdown, and whereas Kevin DiPolito coordinated with all fire companies and rescue squads in Bristol Township during the COVID-19 shutdown, and whereas Kevin DiPolito diligently kept the office of the Township Manager up to date with all of the information that was sometimes changing on a daily basis. Isn't that true? Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Council of Bristol Township hereby recognizes, appreciates, and sincerely thanks Kevin DiPolito for his continued service and dedication to the Bristol Township community.
Real quick, I'll make the motion to.
I was going to say, I didn't do that, did I? Thank you.
It's okay, so
Thank
I'll
you.
make the motion.
I'll second.
And Ray second it.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No.
Like the others, I have a few that I'd like to thank as well. It would be my staff. The career fire inspectors, every Monday, they're unloading, and sometimes twice a week, they're unloading the delivery trucks that come to the senior center with all the food. Even my administrative assistant, who has made several runs up to Ivy Lane to pick up the PPE that we've brought back for the police department, the rescue squads, the fire companies. It is absolutely a team effort, as it is with the other department heads, so I want to thank them as well. And thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Okay. And we have a resolution of commendation honoring Bristol Township Fire Police for their outstanding coordination of traffic control for Fresh Connect distribution at Bucks County Community College during the COVID-19 shutdown. A consideration to adopt.
I could make that motion for sure.
Second.
Mr. Glassen makes a motion, second by Mr. Antonello. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Negative. Good evening. We have a resolution of commendation of the Township Council of Bristol, Bucks County, honoring the Bristol Township Fire Police for their assistance in traffic detail for Fresh Connect Bucks meal pickups during the COVID-19 shutdown. Whereas the Bucks County Opportunity Council collaborates in organizing a free farmers market, bringing fresh, healthy food to our hungry neighbors in Bucks County. And whereas every Friday, Fresh Connect provides drive-up service for food pickup at the Bucks County Community College. And whereas an average of 400-plus cars pack up this food service at the Bucks County Community College since the COVID-19 mandated shutdown. And whereas the Bristol Township Fire Police provide traffic detail for this service every week. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Council of Bristol Township hereby recognizes, appreciates, and sincerely thanks the Bristol Township Fire Police for their services and dedication to the Bristol Township community. Thank you. I'm getting this. That was a lot of fun. There's a lot of great people in this community. Everybody helping each other. It's beautiful. Next, we have up our consent agenda. So we have first consider approval of voucher list and requisitions dated July 16th, 2020 in the amount of $2,747,672.08. and consider approval of June 18th, 2020 meeting minutes. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion,
Miss-
Ms. Vice Chair.
Motion by Mr. Glassman, second by Ms. Wagner. On the motion, is there any questions? Got it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Right. Next, we have a report from the Township Manager, Ms. Elton.
Meeting minutes?
That was the consent agenda.
That's
We just did
consent,
one.
Right, that's
Yep.
right. Okay.
Thank you. I just have a few quick items, some actually really exciting stuff to say. I did hear some people had asked, or I heard some people talking amongst themselves, about Public Works or the police department. Everybody has done a phenomenal job during the COVID-19, and as we still go through it on a daily basis. This was just to recognize some of the departments that went above and beyond the call of duty for their jobs. Public Works absolutely helped out every single one of those that we recognize today, as well as the police department. I called Lieutenant Johnson on times that there was the fresh foods was coming, and there was just in the very beginning, before we changed the timeline, it was just backed up on Bath Road and Bristol Officer Valley Road, and officers as well as Lieutenant Johnson and sergeants came over and lent a helping hand. So everybody we can absolutely recognize the police and the Public Works next month. That's not a problem. But this was just, my thoughts were, these are the departments that did in excess greater than what we expect everybody to help out in every department every day. So, sorry, I just heard you guys talking about it over there. So, I think, I wish I had a drum roll. We actually have very exciting news. Starting tomorrow, the municipal park will be open.
That's huge, yay! All right.
Minimally, of course. So the fence is scheduled to come down, but while that is, we don't want to wait for that to happen. We will be taking the signs down tomorrow morning. We will be open and keeping the gates open. So basically what is open for the general public all around is the walking trail. Unfortunately, we had, obviously, the COVID-19 shut back at the end of last year. We had to stop construction because of the weather, and then we went into our punch list items, and then COVID-19 shut it down. So that is why it was significantly delayed in opening up the park. We thank everybody for their patience. We weren't going to wait until we could have a grand opening. We'll still plan on doing that. Just the times will dictate that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, with what we're dealing with now, we can't completely open up the spray park and the playground because we would have too many people without being able to social distance or wear masks. So the walking trail is going to be 100% open. The playground and the spray park will have restrictions for opening starting next Wednesday, July 22nd, we'll be able to put out public slots available Monday through Friday, weather permitting, maximum of 50 children for each slot. It'll be a two-hour slots from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pre-registration will be required on MyRec. All of this will be posted on our website. We'll post it on Facebook. We'll continue to do blasts. At this time, we're going to have a cost, since we're going to have somebody there monitoring the situation, making sure that the 2 hours are adhered to, wiping down after people leave, and getting ready for the next slot. It's just to cover our cost. It would be $5 per child. And the responsible parent or adult would be free for the group. But we require that because of adult supervision will be required. Everyone must wear a mask to enter, including children. Masks won't be required in the spray park area, but may be required in the playground area if there's too many kids and social distancing can't happen. But adults must wear a mask at all times. And at this time, we since it is a park for Bristol Township and Bristol Township residents and Bristol Township children, that's who we're limiting to. We're only going to limit it right now. We can see if we can open it up later, but we do want to limit it to Bristol Township residents only so we can make sure that our residents have the ability to play at the park. The synthetic turf field will remain, it still is a permit-only field, so you have to request that, for a permit, and that would go to Ms. Fox, our Director of Parks and Rec. At the park, the bathroom facilities will not be open, and masks obviously must be worn where social distancing is not possible when you're on the walking trail. But still going back to the original happiness that the park is open, the park is completed, but for COVID-19, the entire thing would be open, and we look forward to getting to that soon.
Yeah,
But
that's
again,
super great news, yeah.
the virus dictates that. Additionally, we received notification that starting Sunday through next Tuesday, we're going to have another heat advisory. Kevin has been working with the Senior Center and Area of Aging, AAA. So we are going to open up the Senior Center for a cooling station. So we will, again, post that and make everybody aware, but Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you don't have central air, you're more than welcome to, that'll be opened up for the residents of the township or others to come in and just make sure that everybody can stay healthy. And the final thing that I wanted to discuss is just to let you know that the road paving program is going on still, and we are completing it, very well. JDM is doing a great job. We have probably about 50% of it completed, and it really looks really nice out there. So, with Gilmore observing, and also our Public Works Director assisting. So that is all I have.
Well, thank you very much. And, yeah. So next we have a report from our township solicitor. Adam, anything to report?
Stay safe. Enjoy your summer.
Love the brevity. Next, we're on to new business. You might hear from Kurt on this one. He's been silent over there. So we have an application of Bristol Township School District requesting sketch plan review to consolidate 2 parcels for future land development and site improvements on the property located at 6401/6501 Mill Creek Road, Levittown, tax parcels number 5-37-517 and 5-37-569 in an R3 residential zone district. Come on up. Come on down. Somebody needs to be up here. Hi, welcome. Hello. Yeah. Well, you can take.
Your green light on the mic?
No, it is not. Okay, great.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you all. My name is Chris Jensen. I am with T&M Associates, the civil engineer for this project. Here tonight also with David Schrader, the architect from Schrader Group Architects here, and we will be presenting the Ben Franklin Middle School project for the Bristol School District. There's also the members of the school district here as well. And behind me, I forgot to mention Mr. Mark Roth, the traffic engineer from McMahon Associates, is also here this evening. So I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with the property on Mill Creek Road, and actually have a pointer that might help out. So the property currently is an overall campus that consists of behind this notation here is the Mill Creek Elementary School, and the location for our project is the building here, the existing building, the parking lot around it, as well as the athletic fields in the back. And so the focus of the project will be mainly to renovate the building, add a new addition, a new wing in the back of the building here, green up the parking lot, and reconfigure the athletic fields. So maybe the next slide, we can show you a little bit more about what that looks like. So this slide here shows the new wing of the building that is going to be added, as well as what some of the greening of the parking lot that right now is a large sea of asphalt. And it also shows the reconfigured athletic field areas, including a track, a 6-lane running track. Currently in the back, on the prior slide, I didn't point it out, but there is a dilapidated cinder track that's overgrown currently. From a site access standpoint, we are intending to share the current access for buses for Mill Creek Elementary and branch off and create a new loop from that access to serve the middle school. The idea and the theory behind that is to separate the bus traffic from the parent drop-off pickup traffic, which is good practice. We intend to maintain the other two existing access points to the property, and from a site circulation standpoint, the proposed pickup drop-off queue would come in a one-way manner here along the front of the building and work its way up to the north, planned north, and around the parking lot and back out. So the drop-off and pickup of the children would be along this edge here where there is sidewalk indicated. The entrance, well, there are multiple entrances, and Mr. Schrader can explain that we do have some very nice renderings that he put together, but the entrances will be here, and for the buses in the back. There are canopies, walkway canopies in 3 different locations, 2 off of the bus loop and 1 in the front of the building. The main entrance for visitors and so on and so forth is at the front of the building, and David can explain that in a little more detail. We did receive review letters from the township consultants, Gilmore, Pannoni, and also from the County Planning Commission. I don't know if you wanted to go through any of those letters and any of the commentary in those letters this evening, or if just perhaps you had your own questions. One thing I did forget to point out is this is an overall tract of land of about 50 acres, and currently there are 2 parcels. And with the construction and development of the elementary school, the parcel line that separates the 2 parcels was adjusted slightly so that it would fully accommodate for all the improvements associated with the elementary school. So that line is actually right about where you see this tree line here on this rendering, and it goes pretty much straight up and down the page. Our intention would be to consolidate the 2 parcels to create 1 parcel so that we wouldn't have to go through the process of burdensome cross-access easements and those types of legal mechanisms that we would need to utilize for purposes of the development that actually would cross both parcels anyway because of the athletic field reconfiguration that you see back here. From a zoning perspective, it's all by right. We don't see a need for any kind of relief in that manner. And from a technical standpoint, we've been working with Kurt and his team on getting out in front of some of the technical issues that we're going to encounter, and feel like we will be able to handle most of what comes up.
So what, before us tonight is just the sketch plans.
The sketch
Right,
plans.
so there's no waivers, there's no, I mean.
Right.
So
they're-
do we have to make a
they're before-
motion?
no.
Go, I'm sorry.
They're before us tonight. Typically, sketch plan review, I mean, Kirk can explain, but it's primarily somebody comes in front of you, they want to talk about what they want to do, and they basically want to, if there's any issues, it gets flushed out before they proceed to preliminary final. So maybe Kurt can speak of,
Have a letter. We didn't have a review letter.
well, Kurt's done a review. Nothing was, you have a review letter in your
Did anybody
packet.
have it in the packet? No,
Um,
I don't. No. Yeah.
Well, so Kurt can speak of,
Thank you.
of any issues that may be for discussion that either the school district should think of, or, the township council.
Thank you.
I don't have much to add. I mean, it's just a presentation. It's a, public introduction to the proposed plan so people can get some eyes on, what it is that's planned to be built there. We did issue the letter, July 8th. And we're glad that we met early on this project. We sat down before a plan was submitted, and we got to go through with the school district what they're planning to build, and then collaborate with the engineer. So, we're off to a good start, and we'll be awaiting a revised preliminary plan submission, maybe preliminary final plan submission, and working through the various comments in our letter, Pannoni's letter, working with the traffic consultant. So stay tuned.
All right. No, it'd be nice to see that.
Couple of quick questions then, just looking at the blueprint here. It seems like there's going to be a lot more development, like you mentioned, the track that's in and I've been in, I've walked that area, and it is in, a severe state of disrepair.
Sure.
But what I've seen on this blueprint is we're going to rehabilitate, and there's going to be work done on all these recreational fields. All these ball fields are going to be addressed in some fashion, correct?
All of them except for the field in the upper left corner. There is an existing.
Little League ball field?
An existing Little League field in that area that we intend to leave as is for now.
Okay. But that is part of the school district property, that ball, is anybody using it at all right now? Is it being used by a local league, or?
Usually, yes. I'm not sure if they're currently on the field.
So,
Currently on the field? Typically, yes.
I'm sorry, do you softball or Little League, or?
I believe it's Little League softball.
Little League softball, so it's girls are using it for softball, basically. Levittown United, Joe, you think? So whatever is being done for that field right now is being done by that league to keep it in playable condition?
It's it's not Levittown United.
We met with them ahead of time and discussed the field before we decided to move forward.
Okay, but for now, you're not taking any action on that particular field. They're going to, whoever that entity might be, is going to continue, and you're going to allow them to continue to use it, and, okay. You just don't want to see anybody lose the opportunity to play, to continue to use the fields. And that looks great. Looks like you're going to have a wonderful facility when you get it done. So good luck with everything moving forward.
So is this a consolidation of the two middle schools then? So is that the amount of traffic that'll be in there?
That's the elementary school.
No, the elementary is the other side. This is,
It's only one school.
What? Yes, it's one school, correct.
It's FDR moving over.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
And
I
we
see
do
what
have
you
some
mean
extra
now.
slides as well for the building, if you'd like to see those.
You have it, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
So it's nice to be in front of people rather than a Zoom screen, so thank you. I'm David Schrader, and we're working on the building portion of this. So just very quickly, because I know you have a full agenda this evening, the plan is to do a full renovation to the entire existing building, and we're going to be creating a new entry on the far side of where the current offices are and where that entry that currently is for the auditorium. So you'll see a new face right here to the building as you drive up and down Mill Creek. And just to Chris's point, the two drop-off points will be the parent drop-off here, trying to extend that loop as far as we can to get as many cars stacked on site as we can. And the kids will be able to drop off right there and go into the cafeteria or straight into the building. And the far side of the building, we have two different drop-offs for the bus loop so that we can bring kids in from the backside for the bus loop. The addition is this portion of the building right here, and that is a two-story addition, approximately 33,000 total square feet, 16,000 square feet worth of footprint. And then the balance of the building between the first and second floor is 115,000 feet. So just real quickly, we can go, next one is a second floor plan. Oh, I'm sorry. So that's just the second floor plan, and again, the second floor addition portion over here. And some of these start to give you a sense. First, you'll see the existing views of the building as you begin to look at it. So of course, this is kind of from west, and then this is from east side of the site. And the revision will be to have a new front entry point that is actually a marker point for the building, very similar to Mill Creek Elementary School. So you can start to see this as a campus. So that's the first view. You kind of come around, and we're looking at how to handle the auditorium. And then this just kind of steps around the building a little bit if you pop around. You can see that new front entry point. That is a secure entry point like all of the elementaries currently have. So that'll be the check-in point for anybody who wants to get into the school other than the students being dropped off at the parent loop or the bus loop. And then the next couple, this shows you the two-story addition to the side. You're starting to come all the way around the back, and I think the last one are the bus loop drop-offs. So we're excuse me, trying to provide canopies back there for the bus drop-off. So that's just a quick overview. Of course, we'll start to give you all these renderings and everything as we step through the process.
A quick question about the capacity. What's your forecast, and what will the capacity be for total students?
Yeah, so essentially the building is being designed for a comfort level of 850 students, and of course there's surge space to allow for additional capacity as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I'm good.
We don't need a motion, correct? No. All right. Well, thank you. Look forward to seeing you back here soon then.
Thank you.
So next, we have an application of Frank Mers requesting lot line change approval for property located at 504 Neshaminy Road in Croydon, tax parcels number 5-5-88 and 5-5-89 in an R2 residential zoned district. Consideration to take appropriate actions.
Good evening. Yes, it is. Should I leave this up or?
Hi there, sorry about that.
Good evening. My name is Mark Havers. I'm with Pickering Courts and Summerson. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Mers, Frank Mers, for this lot line change plan. He wasn't comfortable coming tonight, so he won't be with us this evening. The plan is, if you could just flip to the next slide, it's probably easiest. It's a lot line change plan. Currently, there's two existing lots at the corner of Neshaminy Road and Hillcrest Avenue. The lot closest, this is easy. The lot closest to Hillcrest Avenue at the corner is a vacant lot, undersized, and non-conforming. The second lot has an existing home on it. It's approximately 12,000 square feet, 12,400 square feet. It has non-conformities for setbacks and impervious surface. The proposed plan would be the next slide, is to reconfigure the lots, create a conforming lot at the intersection, and the second parcel, bring it into conformity in terms of impervious surface by removing some sheds and other impervious surface. The setbacks for the existing house cannot be changed, but we would make that more conforming in terms of impervious surface. The existing house would remain, there's an existing pool which would remain in the back, and then a new home would be built at the intersection. This is the ultimate configuration. As I said, the existing pool to remain on the house on the lot with the existing home, and a new home built at the corner. And both houses will be sold to owners. Currently, the existing house is rented. Mr. Merce has somebody who would like to purchase it, but he's waiting until the lot line change goes through.
So just to be clear, the only thing we're doing tonight is approving the lot line change. That is it.
The plans are presented, the home is there, designed, the grading's done, stormwater's done, it needs some adjustments, but I guess ultimately a building permit application would come in for that home.
Mr. Havers, is the applicant planning on entering into financial security agreements and developers agreements to construct the home, though?
Yes.
Yeah, so it is all encompassing tonight. It's going to be a lot line change, but also includes what would be known as like the subdivision land development procedure as well, the stormwater management, and they'll actually put agreements together. Financial security will get posted and so on and so forth. So.
But this isn't actually to build yet, or is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Essentially, sure, yeah.
Yeah, yes.
They won't have to come back before council in order to construct. They'll have to pull their necessary building permits and outside agency approvals and all.
Okay, beautiful. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, we're good with it. We've reviewed it. The agreement tonight is to agree to conditionally, revise the plans to meet any open items. We worked with the applicant and its consultant, Mr. Havers here, and they agreed to complete the sidewalk installation. That was something that was discussed at the Planning Commission right now. About 2/3 to 3/4 of the perimeter contains sidewalk. They sought a waiver originally, but recognizing that much of the sidewalk was there and there's sidewalk in proximity, they agreed to completing the rest of the sidewalk. So we have no issues with the approval.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, there are some waivers asked for curb. In the whole neighborhood, there's very little curb, just at each intersection, there's curb at this intersection, which we asked to remain, but not curb the whole frontage. And street trees as well. There's no street trees in the neighborhood, so we asked not to provide those. And I think there was 2 others, one related to the scale of the drawing, having a smaller scale than is permitted, and one related to the driveway being a little closer to the intersection than it's supposed to be. I think it was 3 feet closer.
Have you reviewed the resolution that's been prepared by
Yes, we
my
will provide
office?
us the draft resolution, reviewed that. I reviewed that with Mr. Mers. He was agreeable to all the conditions.
Council action is in order then.
Madam Vice President, I will make that motion that we approve.
Motion by Mr. Joe Glassen,
Second.
second by Mr. Antonello. On the motion, is there any questions?
Vice President Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Antonello?
Yes.
Mr. Blaylock?
Yes.
Mr. Glassen?
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner?
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is an application of UniFirst Corporation, 940 River Road, Croydon, tax parcel number 5-11-532-003, requesting preliminary and final land development approval in order to construct a vehicle maintenance building at the above noted location in an M1 light manufacturing zoned district. Consideration to take appropriate action. It's not near any residence. It's right in the middle of the park.
Nobody got him on the first two. No, I got him on this one. I think. These aren't Kurt's notes, though. This is a submission. This is a submission.
Okay, sure.
Zoning hearing.
Okay.
All three of these issues, we did not.
Hi there.
Good evening. My name is Scott Denlinger from Whistler Pearlstein. I'm
Scott?
here- Yes.
Is that what you said? Okay, thanks.
Scott?
Scott Denlinger. I'm here on the behalf of UniFirst, and I apologize. My partner, Andy Freemuth, has been handling this matter primarily, and I was told that he sent a PowerPoint ahead of time. So it doesn't appear to have arrived. So I did just forward it, so hopefully we'll have it.
Well, yeah, I think we all have it. We all have it.
Okay.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, so if you just want to speak about it, then I
Sure.
think it's,
He thought his partner sent us the PowerPoint.
yeah. But we all have, we have the plans, and you've reviewed them, yeah. So unfortunately, it's not posted up there yet, but I think you can move forward with it. It's-
Okay. Thank you. So the property is 940 River Road. It's a 3.92 acre site located in the M1 Light Manufacturing Zoning District. The area is largely industrial and commercial. UniFirst, the company, has been on this site for over 40 years, and they are an industrial laundry facility. They're site to site. They take their trucks. A lot of them look kind of like the square milk truck type trucks. They go to the commercial site, pick up laundry, shop mats, towels, that type of thing, bring them back to their facility, do the industrial cleaning, and then return them to the customer. So what we're here for this evening is a plan for a 2-bay maintenance garage. Right now, they're using a single-bay garage in their current warehouse facility. It's too tight. It makes it difficult to get the maintenance on their fleet done that they need to have done. Oh, yeah? So you may
It might
know
have
that.
changed a little bit since then, Ray. I'm just thinking. There you go. They have it up for you now.
Great. Thank you so much.
That's where the problem started.
So you can see on this plan, the existing building, the bottom, is on the bottom. You can
Yeah,
see the half of
big
it.
white,
The kind of dark spot you saw a curved driveway to Washington Avenue. We're proposing to straighten that out and to add the maintenance building back in the rear there. So I have been provided a courtesy copy of the resolution that is proposed here this evening, and the applicant agrees to all of the conditions in the resolution. All of the outstanding comments will comply.
Right.
And I'd be happy to go over the waivers requested if you like.
I don't believe so. No, I think we've all looked at it, and it's pretty cut and dry, unless anybody has any questions, of course.
No, everything that's been said is accurate.
Yep. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Pat Antonello,
I'll second it.
second by Ray Blaylock. On the motion, is there any questions? Call the board.
Vice President Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Antonello?
Yes.
Mr. Blaylock?
Yes.
Mr. Glassen?
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner?
Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next up is the 2020-2021 Bucks County Consortium fuel bid. Consideration to accept.
Thank you again, Vice President Murphy. So annually, we are in with the Bucks County Consortium, and they have done a consortium fuel bid, and our Public Works Director is recommending, after a review of the consortium bids, for our ultra-low sulfur diesel, that would be for our Public Works, Edgeley Fire Company in 3rd District, for Riggins Incorporated to be awarded at .2350 cents. Riggins as well for our Police Department at .2050 cents. And Riggins as well for our premium unleaded, which would be for the 3rd District Fire Company at .0290 cents. And the last one would be for PAPCO to be awarded number 2 heating oil for our sewer plant as well as 3rd District at .2582 cents. So a motion is in order to accept the consortium bid recommendations.
Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mary Ann Wagner.
I'll second it.
Second by Joe Glass. And on the motion, is there any questions? Call the board.
Vice President Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Antonello?
Yes.
Mr. Blaylock?
Yes.
Mr. Glassen?
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner?
Yes.
Thank you. Next up is other business. Any other business? Okay. Comments from council members? Anybody have any comments? All right, lovely. So we are on to opportunity for residents to address council. Public comment on general and agenda items will be taken at this time following Bristol Township's administrative code. Sign in with the secretary prior to the roll call of the meeting. Please be courteous to your fellow residents and adhere to a 5-minute limit. Public participation will be limited to 1 hour.
So they're all outside since we have to social distance for COVID, and our security officers that are out there are going to bring everybody in, because I think we're at a limit. We have the ability to bring everybody in so they can all come up, because I heard there's a pretty large number signed up to speak.
Okay, well, it's in order, though. It's okay. Yeah, first up is Cora
And that is Cora.
Steed.
Yes. Cora.
All right,
It's
Cora,
called.
come on up.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Hi, Cora.
Hello.
How you doing? So I, taxpayer, live at 918 Winter Drive. My grandparents have lived there for over 50 years. They bought their house on 918 Winter Drive when it was only $5,000. We own it now. In back of my grandmother's house, we're just wondering, and some of the other people who live in Winter Village, who is our representative for Winter Village at this council meeting? Like, is there like a, like Bristol Borough, how they have wards?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
We don't have wards. We're all at large.
You're all at large, okay, so we can get in touch with anyone from the council meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay, the first thing that we wanted to talk to about the traffic running through Winter Village, if there could be any signs put up, because the traffic that comes from 95 through Winter Village runs around the corners. There's a lot of families that have just moved into the neighborhood that are walking their kids around. It's a diverse community, and the kids are running through there like 65 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, with kids playing out in the streets. Secondly, we wanted to know what was going to be happening with the land behind Winter Village. My grandmom lives at 918, so right behind my grandmother's house, there's like a wildlife preserve. There's bald eagles there. We have bald eagles up in their tree. We have deer, a deer family that lives back there, woodpeckers,
Is there some-
groundhogs.
So is there, some-
That's county property.
It is.
yeah, is there something?
I
What?
emailed you that it was county property.
It's county property,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Bristol's
No, I
County.
emailed you that's county property. You said where they're all dumping.
yeah, they're all dumping.
Right.
Yeah, it's a track. Well, I just went back there tonight. There's fireworks, needles.
So we contacted, since you emailed me this.
Yeah, and
we
there's
talked about
also racial slurs on the basketball court.
it. Okay, well, that we can get
Yeah.
tag out there.
So we were just wondering from the residents of Winter Village if there can be any trash cans, any lights put back there at the basketball courts. There's a lot of kids that play back there. It's not safe. There's a lot of solicitation going on back there, prostitution. I live back there. I see it all the way from my grandmother's porch, and we see through the back all the time. So we're just trying to figure out what's going to be done with that land back there. Like, is there somebody that can come and clean? We're going to do a neighborhood cleanup. We're going to clean up our own park. We're just trying to figure out, can we get trash cans, some public benches, some lights back there for the kids, for the community, because even the other side of the community from Winter Village, they use that park, because there's a walking park back there now. They made a walking trail. So a lot of people in the community have been using that, and they've been really good about it. They're walking their dogs, a lot of families out there, everybody's been good doing social distancing.
When was the last time work was done on that trail?
It's not a township trail. it's a
That's what I'm
county trail.
saying.
You're talking about county property.
We didn't do anything. Basketball courts are not township?
Yeah, they are,
They
but I
are.
mean, this is the first time hearing of
Yeah,
it.
so
Again,
yeah, so the
we ha-
basketball court's a township,
yeah,
so.
Right, so we can't, I mean, we'd have to look into it. It's not, we didn't, this is the first time hearing of it. So, I mean, we have a capital plan for our parks program. So I'll see where that is on the capital plan. You know, we did, I think, 6 park upgrades last year. We can, we have
Yeah, we
31
have
parks.
to see what records the county has, if they have any,
Well, the park is the township.
I know that, but what we're talking about, the problems that she's going over is on county property, partly?
I don't know, we'll have to.
That's what
we'll
I
have to
mean.
talk to
Well,
the
I mean, it's
gotta-
raining back, I
we gotta
mean,
look at
because
it.
like, once you step out my grandmother's house in the back, because we have an entrance to the back too, so it goes straight to the back, you can walk right down there, and as soon as you're walking down the path, you start seeing the trash from all the fireworks, you see the needles, you see all that stuff.
So we'll discuss it with our police department, we'll discuss it, we'll reach out to the county again, and Parks and Rec Department, and we'll all get out there, I'll give you a holler, or, shoot you a text. We'll get out there together so we can see what the issues is, and then we can also start talking about, what your plans are, what your goals are, and we can tell you what's in the Park and Rec
Okay, because
update.
because we definitely want to protect the animals, because they're like,
Yeah, we'll get the county, we'll get it all out there so that we can see what the concerns are and create a vision.
okay, all right,
Thanks, Cara.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Next up is Vince Montoya.
I'd like to get, if it was possible, to get some sort of layout, plot plan view of that area she's talking about. What is county, what's our responsibility? That would be good to know.
All right, and there's,
We wanted to distribute these to the council members before we started.
yeah.
Thank you so much. It's very appreciated. Okay. All right, well, first of all, thank you all for being here so late. It's green. Yep. Give me a sec. Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, how's it going, everybody? My name is Vince, 53 Rambler Lane, Levittown, Pennsylvania. Nice to see you all again. So since we visited last, we've held a public meeting, had discussions with teachers and social workers, attended Ben Salem's Democratic Committee Town Hall to hear how they're responding to BLM demands, submitted a letter to the Bucks County Commissioners in support of diversionary programs for our friends undergoing mental health crises, sat down with State Representative Tina Davis to discuss the carceral system, held a town hall to discuss racism and PTSD, conducted research to educate ourselves and the community on local issues, and tremendously grown our ranks of people fighting for racial and economic justice in Bristol Township. We're here in good faith to promote our shared goals. We know that you're all committed to fighting racism and using our resources most efficiently toward the end of eliminating harm and promoting community fulfillment. A few of us have prepared public comments to discuss particular issues and to ask questions to help us better understand how we can achieve our shared goals together. About a month ago, one of the issues I discussed was the data problem in Bristol Township policing. Bristol Township, like many townships in the region, uses crimemapping.com to report arrests and crime incidents. To restate some of the issues with the website, the program deletes all data beyond the last 6 months with no way to retrieve it. This means that we're seeing mostly data in the coronavirus era, which will be unrepresentative of law enforcement activities at large and prevents us from making reasoned resource allocations decisions as a democratic body moving forward. Moreover, the statistics should break down crimes more finely. Heroin possession should be coded differently than weed possession because these crimes have different implications and potential responses. Furthermore, Black Lives Matter has exposed the systemic racism in law enforcement, and if we are to restore some faith, we should be collecting racial statistics to demonstrate how many Black and brown Bristol Township residents are arrested compared to their white counterparts. We should also report the arrest statistics for each officer so that they can track their own racial biases and so that we can work together to fight unequal treatment. We can even make a heat map to show where police and crime activity is most heavily concentrated to most efficiently allocate resources to prevent crime. For instance, if we isolate where most DUIs are issued, we can organize a rideshare program to offset the inadequacy of SEPTA transportation, which stops operating near our most popular bars by 7:30 p.m. We have the power to make the most transparent crime reporting regime in Pennsylvania, and we will work together hand in hand to do so. And we would appreciate information on how we can make this possible. Next, we should make misconduct reports publicly available. Currently, misconduct reports are exempted by the right to know law, but we have the ability to publish them freely and openly if we choose to do so. When we attended our friends Freedom Neighborhood 1's community meeting, some residents complained that they had filed reports detailing their mistreatment and then heard nothing back. Sharing the contents of reports and outcomes could yield two results. One, if the process is adequate, it will restore faith. Two, if the outcome is unacceptable, we can work together to revise the procedure and repair the process. Next, we should create a policy that prohibits the hiring of officers with backgrounds that undermine their trustworthiness. The recent Pennsylvania bills that passed earlier this week stated that police agencies may hire officers with a documented history of violence and dishonesty, so long as the police department offers any rationale. We can do what the state should have done and outright prohibit the hiring of officers with a history of violence and deceit, which I think is a notion that doesn't warrant further justification. Lastly, we should publish aggregated data for all use of force incidents by officers. This would reveal which officers are most prone to escalate situations. These are some reforms that the group unanimously agreed would empower democratic decision-making in law enforcement and allow us to begin addressing racial and class violence. In terms of how the council structure could be improved, we would like us to start live streaming all of the council meetings and advertising more extensively because most people my age don't have cable, and so the reruns on local programming don't reach them. And working people, parents, and those with disabilities prohibiting their in-person presence should be able to fully participate. Sorry, almost at the end. I want to conclude with a big picture encapsulation of my views on criminal justice, shared by many others in the group. I believe in the concept of transformative justice. It asks us to evaluate how we can restore victims, what leads people to harm their community members, and how we can transform those underlying conditions to prevent their recurrence, so that all people, without exception, can live safe, meaningful, and fulfilling lives. In the context of theft, which is one of the most common crimes that Bristol Township police address, we can ask, what leads people to steal? The clear answer is poverty, addiction, and compulsion. Instead of spending the $42,000 we spend annually per prisoner in Pennsylvania, why don't we compensate victims and place perpetrators in addiction treatment or trade school so that they can pursue their dreams and grow beyond the mutually traumatic and dehumanizing experience of harming others?
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you so much.
I didn't leave any time for rebuttal. But there was a lot of items that we could talk about for days and months and years. Yeah. So clearly.
Well, we have some other people.
Yeah, sure. That'd be great. So Brianna Bostwick?
Yes, thank you.
Hi.
Hey, everyone. All right, so I have a story of recent events that happened. I'm sorry? Brianna Bostwick, 3109 Brightside Ave in Bristol. So on Thursday, July 3rd, 2020, I received a phone call from my friend Vincent. He asked if I could come over to help manage a friend of ours who is going through a mental crisis, speaking as 3 different personalities, delusional and threatening suicide. That night, as we waited for hours for our friend to arrive, we called about 10 to 12 local and general helplines. Out of these 10 to 12 organizations, only one of them was 24 hours mobile and willing to help our friend without police assistance. The only problem was that they didn't have enough staff to work multiple shifts of full team members, so they couldn't meet us until the morning. Even then, the only options they could give us was to keep an eye on our friend or to 302 them. For those who don't know, a 302 is when you petition for the police to come and force your friend or family member to the hospital for holding. Your petition is then decided by a judge on whether or not you or your friend or family member receives treatment. We tried to wait it out and hope our friend would come to their senses, but things only got worse over the weekend. We decided Sunday that we would drive to a nearby mental health hospital for assistance, but they were closed on the weekends. With no other option, we had to move forward with the 302 process. We were worried because our friend had a similar incident last year and was horrified by the police, especially because one of their personalities thought that they were going to be deported, even though this person is a citizen. Everyone told us that we would have to speak with the police to do this, but when we got to the station, they told us we had to go to the hospital. We arrived at the hospital at 2:30 Sunday afternoon to write our statement. It took 2.5 hours for them to type up the statement on letterhead. Our statement was 3 pages long, but they had to simplify it. They took out all the details to make it an easy read. We waited till 6:30 before the crisis workers told us that this was one of the more severe cases that she had seen and that it was approved. The cops would pick up our friend any minute. But it wasn't until 8 o'clock that night that they showed up. And when they did, they didn't ask our names, didn't care about the situation, or discuss with us how they were going to handle it. They walk in, told our friend to grab their shoes and to get going, saying that time is the only thing that they didn't have. We finally arrived at the hospital at 8:30 and admitted our friend. All the nurses are in the front by the door. There is no one on the side of the ER that we were. After hours of no one communicating with us with what was going on, I finally got up at 11:30 to ask what was going on, and they told me that they were waiting for me, that the only reason that they didn't take them out of the ER and into their own room was because I was there. No one had mentioned this to me before at all, but I told them I was ready whenever, and they took my friend immediately. What I didn't understand about this process was that they were going to be in holding for at least 5 days. No one could see them or even call them to make sure they were okay. They could make phone calls, but I know my friend didn't have my phone number, and no one told them that I was the one that 302'd them, so they harassed their family all week. Their case needed to be looked over by the judge, who decided whether or not they were severe enough to go through a treatment, but my statement was simplified, so the judge didn't have all the details. I had court Friday, July 10th about the case. With COVID, everything was done over the phone. They said they would call me if my friend didn't agree so I could further prove why they needed treatment, but if they did agree, I wouldn't be called at all. I was eventually called, but I wasn't allowed to speak about experiences that other people have told me, like when they almost lit someone's apartment on fire by throwing lit candles at it, or how they were harming their little sister. My friend was comfortable around me, so they didn't do anything harmful around me, but I had proof through social media, photos and videos friends and family members had sent me that they were causing harm to others. They didn't take my evidence or even ask for it. After all the work that we put into helping our friend, the case was dismissed and they were sent home with no treatment. The recommendation to us was to call Bucks County Mental Health, who we'd been calling all week and never answered. Even then, my friend would still have to agree to treatment. If they agreed to treatment, we wouldn't have had to done any of this in the first place, but now they're staying at their family home and destroying it. The family hasn't slept there since our friend got home in fear of what they may do. At what point is it too far? Does my friend actually have to harm someone or themselves to be offered treatment? What happens if they get arrested? We tried to get them help, but it was denied. The fact that the only option that was given to us was to wait or force them in the treatment doesn't exactly sit right with us, and it doesn't help us trust and confide in our community, and it's extremely damaging to the relationships that we have with our loved ones. We were just wondering if we could work on more organizations that work for our people. Done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
More organizations. Fernando Coplin.
Anything else I have to say before that?
Just your address, your name and your address.
Okay, Fernando Copeland, 40 Inbrook Road. So presently, the main focus of Lower Bucksford changes proposals today have been a call for common sense transparency reforms alongside other proposed ordinances. Our organization is not, however, limited to advocating solely for police and criminal reform. We've also made steady progress toward achieving meaningful reforms for our district's education system. To this end, there are 2 measures I would like to discuss today regarding district education: allocation of funds for the school district to implement implicit bias training and diversify their pool of educational resources, and for the council to officially condemn the Confederate flag as a symbol of racism and bigotry. Racial injustice has a firm root in our education system. A study published by ProPublica found that on average, Black students in this district are 2.1 times more likely to face suspension than white students. In terms of our achievement gap, Black and Hispanic students average nearly 2 grades behind white students. All of this is to say that the school-to-prison pipeline should not be an issue that the council ignores. It is happening right here, and I hope this council can be a reliable resource in ending those inequalities in our schools. At face value, my call for comment on the Confederate flag may seem to have nothing to do with district education, yet this issue is deeply tied to the history of Levittown, and few residents realize this. The indignity as a person of color to live with a constant view of Confederate flags in my own backyard is difficult to truly capture with words alone. People often say that it is ridiculous for Northerners to fly that flag, as it does not belong to our cultural heritage. Yet it was that very flag that was flown over 60 years ago to harass and threaten the Myers family, the first black family to live in Levittown. For the crime of living while being black in Levittown, the Myers family lived through racist protests, wielding the Confederate flag and playing Dixieland, burning crosses in their yard, and death threats, even after the protests were dispersed. To my knowledge, the only efforts made by Levittown to make amends came years later in 1999 when they named a tree after her. If we are to advance as a society, we must seriously grapple with the sins of our past. Daisy Myers deserves far more than a tree, and the citizens of Bristol Township deserve better. In my opinion, the proposals discussed today would make an excellent first step in the crusade for a better tomorrow. It is entirely up to you.
Thank you. Haya Hor. Thank you.
Hiabiri, 40 Mayflower Road, Levittown, PA. The issue that I'm going to be speaking on is the last one, which is the ICE non-cooperation ordinance. So to start, I'd like to read the words of Emma Lazarus, which are on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. When we think of who we are as a country, we view ourselves as a nation of immigrants. We view ourselves as a country that values diversity. And when we look at what ICE has been doing recently in terms of enforcing the Family Separation Act for those crossing the border, and in terms of the reports of ICE using the HDQ disinfectant and causing harm in correction centers, we have to ask ourselves, are we truly a nation dedicated to diversity? Are we truly a nation of immigrants? Are we saying, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free? Or are we actually saying, keep your tired, keep your poor, keep your huddled masses yearning to breathe free? So what we've heard is that currently in Bucks County, we allow ICE access to detention centers, and we cooperate with them. So as a nation that is a nation of immigrants, we ask that you end this cooperation and that you pass an ICE non-cooperation ordinance. Thank you for your time.
Mira Vaz?
Good evening. Mira Vaz, 288 Dogwood Drive. So I would like to speak about what we've been seeing a lot on the media. Since George Floyd's tragic murder, we have been seeing and hearing the logo, defund the police. But why? What would that do? With the lives of millions at stake, we need to invest in the community instead of continuously increasing law enforcement funding whilst trying to fix it. It is 2020, and we cannot keep using the same tactics to police our communities. Look at us. The people are calling for change because many of us are afraid and have been failed by the very system that's sworn to protect us. We must reevaluate our priorities and modernize our methods, procedures, programs, and organizations to include the safety and well-being of illegal, poor, ugly, addicted, and criminal civilians. That is how you prove all lives matter. We are not the only ones who believe these proposals that Vince mentioned will work. Over 23 cities across the nation have already passed bills, founded organizations, cut police department budgets, and have begun to reinvest in the community. I would like to focus on St. Petersburg Police, their new community-based program, since it is very similar to our proposals. The police department will forfeit nearly $7 million to pay for new service that adopts a social service approach to public safety. The police department has created a new division within the department called Community Assistance Liaison that will respond to nonviolent calls with the intent of providing help instead of making arrests. So starting October 1st of this year, the CAL team members will respond to issues involving disorderly intoxication, drug overdose, intoxicated person, mental health crises, suicide crisis, mental health transport, disorderly juvenile truancy, disorderly juvenile at elementary schools, panhandling, homeless complaints, and neighborhood disputes. Members will not be armed and calls will be supervised by the police department for 1 year to measure the success of this alternative service. Among other cities that have pledged to defund the police and have already done so are Rochester, New York, Norman, Oklahoma, Portland, Oregon, Austin, Texas, Salt Lake City, Utah, Boston and Northampton, Massachusetts, San Francisco and Los Angeles, California, and Portland, Washington. Further personal and professional research that compares crime rates, population size, and race diversity, average officer dispatch activity, and wanted versus unwanted police intervention and outcomes will assert the fact that we do not need to be spending 70% of our general funds on the police. And for what? If they are clearly failing at maintaining a respectable relationship with the community, we cannot keep reallocating. We need to reallocate funds to social services.
But you're not talking about the Bristol Township Police, though, right? You're just talking in general, right? Nationwide, is that what you were, is that, you want to go back a few lines?
Yeah,
Help me understand that.
70% of our budget, of our general funds are spent on the police.
Keep going. Keep going, though. But what did, you just said something about the police not serving the community?
Yeah, if they're failing at maintaining a respectable relationship with the community.
Oh, all right, but you must be talking about a different community, not Bristol Township. I mean, did you guys watch the whole meeting? How we honored everybody in our community who helps everyone in this community? And our police are part of that, and they're dedicated to this community, serving them. I was just curious if you guys watched what we just did.
Yeah.
But you could watch it. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then you can replay it, and our community, everyone in this community, all come together. It's a very diverse and welcoming community where people live, grow, recreate in peace and harmony. So
I have had and heard of different varying experiences here in Bristol Township.
Majority of the residents in Bristol Township, but when you
But
keep
there are
talking
some
about our
issues that need to
police,
get fixed.
there's a lot of information about our police that I think you're just not looking at, and statistics, and your comments are, I get you, lower bucks. Okay, that's good. I appreciate that. But I just want you to appreciate that you're in Bristol Township, in our police department, and all of our community members serving the community. I mean, that's what we do. And all are welcome in our community. And we are very diverse.
That is our goal.
Okay.
So when you say that it serves the entire community, but then you said the majority of the community.
Well, you said you've heard of some instances. So,
Which one is
it's like there's always one neighbor who, is an idiot, but, like that. But, right, for the most part, everybody understands they're in a community, and they all get along and serve each other.
For the most part, maybe in
Thank
your
you.
experiences.
Yeah, thank you, Myra. Chanel Bermudez. Oh, was that for me? Thank you.
Hi, Chanel Bermudez, 400 Dogwood Drive. I'm talking in behalf of Haley Solowski. She is also a Bristol Township resident. So in the last few weeks, we've pursued and developed this community-based group. With minimal advertisement, we hosted a community meeting with roughly 25 people in person and through Zoom. At this meeting, we discussed policing, mental health, school structure, and countless other issues regarding racial and economic justice. With the current climate and the issues that we've already brought to your attention, we need to start hosting town halls for issues that we've already brought to your attention, and to understand that the community constituents need and are asking for it. The township offers this time at the end of meetings, but it is not specifically designed to promote discussion and dialogue. With a little bit of advertisement on Facebook on any platform, we should push to bring our community members together. The Bristol Township Council should be pushing for this and developing this. Zoom creates a great space to host these events during the time to promote safety and allow for those in our community that are employed and have to work during these meetings to be able to tune in. I think the first step to opening up the floor to your community members is to make bigger town halls for everyone and that everyone can access. Don't take our word for it. Listen to the constituents and create the change that they want through town halls. Thank you.
How are they doing that? How are they doing that right now? Is it, you said on Zoom? How are town hall meetings, how are they conducting those right now?
So it's either live streams, like on Facebook or something, or you could have a Zoom where multiple people could tune live.
Okay, thank you.
So you're aware, Demita isn't still here, but Demita Harris from No Longer Bound and Bristol Cares, they have set up, reserved this room for a town hall meeting in September, with the understanding that if COVID continues to increase, we would have to change it to Zoom. So that is already happening. It's a town hall meeting that she's hosting, but, we can certainly talk about it,
Right, good.
council members coming.
On the list of things, good. Scott Denlinger. No, Scott? Oh, all right. Oh, it does say university, yeah, there you go. Drew Mikolas?
Hello, Drew Mikolas, 190 Red Rose Drive, which is in Middletown Township, but I am not speaking on behalf of myself. I am speaking on behalf of Olivia Wright and one other person, but I'll start with her speech. So it begins, as a lifelong sorry? In Bristol Township. I don't know the exact street.
You don't know her?
I said I am not. That's okay. So, again. As a lifelong citizen of Bristol Township, I truly believe that we can do better as a community in making policing a more transparent, resource-based institution in this township. As an educator, I also believe that people should have the means at their disposal to do research in order to be informed citizens and participate meaningfully in our democracy. Currently, citizens are unable to obtain meaningful information about police activity or misconduct in our community, as the crime statistics page available for public view has been inoperable, and currently there is no...
Wait a minute, sorry. All that information was provided to you, Vincent, from the lieutenant here.
You're talking about the crime mapping?
Yeah.
That's what I discussed earlier, about how it doesn't aggregate any data and cuts everything out in the past 6 months. She's talking about the page, the actual police department page. It has 2 links for crime statistics. Neither of them work.
They're for or forward, both of them.
And they're located somewhere else?
That's on the
Correct.
the department website.
Okay, thank you.
The link's broken, we'll fix the link.
Okay.
And there's presently no public record about the backgrounds and behavior of the people serving as law enforcement. The Crime Watch reports are often written to a minimal extent that does not reveal a concrete series of events leading to detainment, and in a few concerning cases are written in an almost joking manner. There are also no readily available demographic statistics for arrest or traffic stop records to ensure that our citizens of color are not being disproportionately impacted by police activity.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. So police departments aren't required to record that information, but our police department does and has been doing that for the last 5 years. I understand they were in training because the program, because not everybody does that, they weren't able to extract that information via electronically, if you will. But we are doing that, and they were supposed to go to training, but with COVID, there's no training right now.
So for
But we do have handwritten information. So we do have all the information about the statistics, and they are right in line with the population. So, but go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to let you know we did have information.
That's okay. If
Yeah,
it's made
don't-
available, we would certainly
Yeah,
like to
I
consider
just
that
wanted
to
to,
start.
as you're making the point, so, because
Sure.
I know you guys cover a lot of things, so.
Sure,
As
sure.
I hit them. Okay, thank you.
While I would like to believe that the police in our community are following humane policies and procedures, we as citizens have no way of confirming that with the information at hand. And incidents around this country of misconduct and violence in policing, reaching back decades, but especially most recently, suggest that such incidents can happen anywhere. In an effort to be transparent, to promote community engagement, and to build a basis of problem solving and optimization in the future, such information needs to be available online to citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's the first speech.
Oh, there's more.
So I have one other short speech from another representative that wasn't able to make it.
And who's that other representative?
I'm finding the name for you now. I'm a newer member of the group. I apologize. Chanel Washington. Then.
Chanel? What's her last name? Okay, thank you.
Apologies. This is the last moment change, so I'm just pulling up the speech for you now. Here we are. Good evening, members of the community. I apologize that I could not make this important gathering, but wanted to share my thoughts on issues that should be addressed. Community is a pillar of our society that was created to protect, but we have not honored that commitment for every member of this community. No one should feel threatened or intimidated to be our neighbor. For many members of our community, police and ICE officers have made them feel small and unseen. We are a community that can lead by example. We can redistribute large sums of money from carceral means to community means. We need more affordable housing, and we need professional training to be more available to all. We need development in lower income communities and rent control to increase opportunity for social mobility. We cannot be gatekeepers to the American dream that we historically have been. I have hope that one day we can be the place that we claim to be to all, including the marginalized. Our place in progressive history can be fostered by our community with us in mind. I hope you see these words, Chanel.
Thank you. Thanks, Drew. Dan Haben Street? All righty.
Hi, Dan Hebben Street, 957 Dixon Ave. Thank you, everyone, for hearing us out here. Today, I wanted to talk about a couple things. The first I'm going to mention is one of our proposals of decriminalizing marijuana. And so for us, we see this as a huge criminal justice issue. And there are clear reasons for that based on data. So the first one here, according to ACLU marijuana arrest numbers, in the state of Pennsylvania, black residents are 3 times more, 3 times more likely to be arrested for possession of marijuana than white Pennsylvanians, as well as there is research suggesting that black residents have harsher punishments for the same exact crime of possession than white, harsher sentences rather, should I say. As well as the fact that we, excuse me, I'm sorry for a moment. So the reason that we see this as such a large criminal justice issue too, that needs reckoning, is that the public support is really behind this. And if you look at least some Bucks County statistics, this came from John Fetterman, the Lieutenant Governor of PA. He did a tour of Bucks County, or a tour of every county, and he found that in Bucks County, there was 80% support for the decriminalization and even legalization of marijuana in residents. So one other thing I wanted to bring up too is the history of different municipalities in this state in decriminalizing marijuana. So the cities of Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, State College, York, Erie, Allentown, Bethlehem, Lancaster, and Steelton all have, their councils have all passed ordinances that decriminalize a small amount of marijuana. And the result is, instead of a misdemeanor offense, it's a summary offense, and the fine amount for each of these is usually around $25. We believe that this council should heavily look into passing this ordinance as well, for the reason of, one, it's a huge criminal justice issue and racial justice issue, and two, there's the public support behind it. So I did just want to quote a couple of things about the borough of Steelton, which is a city right outside of Harrisburg. their council president, when they voted to decriminalize marijuana, said, quote, "We believe policy needs to change with the times. This includes taking a new look at marijuana, its potential benefit in our community, and realigning criminal justice policy to appropriately fit marijuana-related crimes." Another councilwoman of Steelton said that it is foolish and foolhardy to stick our heads in the sand while this opportunity passes us by. It is equally foolish to ignore the disproportionate impact outdated marijuana laws have on small-time users. So we are encouraging you to look into passing an ordinance on decriminalizing small amounts of marijuana. I'm sure a town hall, if were to be hosted with that, would bring a lot of people out. So that is one of the things I wanted to address here. The other, actually, I have it on my notepad over there, but it was regarding something totally different. It was in a presentation that you guys put for the action plan for 2019 for the fiscal year, where the community development block fund grants go. There was, I read the whole thing, and I found a just very small error that, is no big deal. I think it was the COVID amount for what amount is going to go to the public services as opposed to administration. It just didn't quite add up. I have my notes over there. I can bring it up specifically to you. That's not a big deal, though. I just kind of wanted to point it out and kind of brag that I read it, I guess. But the bigger picture with that I want to get to more so was that it's just kind of disappointing to read that report, I guess. I don't want to put out that I'm blaming anyone here or anything like that for anything, but just to read the amounts that go toward our homeless services and our most marginalized as compared to amounts that are otherwise funded.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Have a good night. All right, take a motion to adjourn?
I want to make a couple of comments if I could.
Then feel free.
Since I just want to take an opportunity to you got enough time, Ray. Sorry. I think it's important for at least one of the council people here to address the comments that were made. And I'd also like to speak to my fellow council members about the comments that were made and encourage them to have a deeper conversation about a lot of the points that were brought up. I think it's incumbent on us to address these points. There were some good points. There were some other points that I disagreed with, frankly. But unless we have this conversation, nothing really changes. And I think it's incumbent on us as council members to also explain to the folks that are raising these issues where we're at, what we've done, what we've accomplished, and, we are elected officials. We are responsible to explain ourselves to the citizens we represent when we're questioned. So I would ask the group to give us.
I commented when I
Right.
could.
Well,
Things I knew.
yeah, but I would ask the group to give us an opportunity. We need to consider the points that were raised.
With all due respect, I thought that we would, after this, we would take it to each department head. Everybody can put together, I was going to ask the police department to come, put together a presentation, have a conversation. But again, I reiterate from the last time that it shouldn't just be at a public comment meeting that people come out and have issues. We are here, the police department is 24/7. The township building is Monday through Friday. I've given my cell phone out. I talk to people on weekends. It's not just something, I guess that's frustrating to me to hear issues once a month when if they're real issues, they shouldn't just be a once a month comment time.
No, and a couple of these issues were raised a month ago at the meeting. I don't know that if they were appropriately addressed, and with all due respect, it's an uncomfortable conversation. It's uncomfortable. We all know that. It is what it is, but that's the reality of it. And I personally believe that some of the issues that were raised here, we are not addressing completely or as well as we could address them. And that doesn't make us bad folks. We're out here grinding away, doing the best job we can on a daily basis. And I personally, I take umbrage when I'm called out on, when we are denigrated for not, or the point is being made that we're not doing the best job we can. Sure, that's an uncomfortable thing to hear. Is it always accurate? No, it's not. But there needs to be a conversation. And sometimes these conversations, maybe it is appropriate to have a town hall. We need to talk about these things. Maybe it is appropriate to bring that sort of thing in. I can tell you personally, and I want it on the record. Personally, I think it's a great idea if this township decriminalized marijuana, because it's a known thing.
Everybody does. Yeah, no kidding.
We know that people of color are profiled on a regular basis on, especially traffic stops. I smell marijuana. This is reality. We can't bury our head in the sand. At the same time, I also want to be somebody that goes on record defending the quality of our Bristol Township Police Department, because we have a very good relationship. I do take umbrage when they're denigrated without cause. Just because national statistics say one thing, it doesn't mean that's accurate locally.
Right.
Now, is there room for improvement? There always is. There absolutely is room for improvement. We as council have to take ownership of that and say, how do we change things? Will everything on this list be changed? Nope. I can guarantee that. I don't think we can accomplish all of it, but unless we take ownership of what our citizens are telling us, we can't get there. So, again, I appreciate it, and I have no doubt that the manager will address the pertinent issues with the appropriate department heads. I know I'm going to be open to meeting with the group and saying, I want to hear more what you can do. I want to talk to my fellow council members. What can we do? How can we make a difference? Some of this police department reporting stuff, I really think it's a relatively easy fix. We're not looking to hide anything. Are we responsible for maybe not doing as good a job as we could? Sure. There's 10 million other things on the list. Now, when the squeaky wheel starts making noise, well, they get fixed. We'll address it. I'm not worried about that. I really believe that we can fix that. And again, I will reiterate that I have a lot of faith and confidence in the Bristol Township Police Department. With what we've done over the last 5 years, it's just remarkable. It is a sea change compared to how it was. It's really been a quantum leap due to the leadership that we have in place. Now, that's important, and I'm proud to say that. And I know that our police leadership are more than willing to continue to work towards a better relationship, being a better police force in every way that they possibly can. Some of the other issues, that's for another time, perhaps when we meet. But again, I just wanted to get a few things on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good night. Thank you.